Here it is. This is an entire master set of Pokemon's newest release, Twilight Masquerade. And this is a custom built binder that was made by a member of the fan clan for the fan clan. That's right. One lucky subscriber is going to win this entire master set. And if you want that to be you, here's all you have to do. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel and then head over to this video right up here. Leave a like and a comment on that video and then come back on Friday, June 7th, to see if you are the lucky winner of a brand new master set of Twilight Masquerade. Good luck. Hey, what is going on, Fan Clan? Welcome back to the channel. My name is dannyphantump. Hope you guys are all doing well. Hope you're having a wonderful week so far. We talk a lot in the Pokemon card market about supply and demand. We talk about that all the time. You hear it all the time. And demand for Pokemon cards right now is the highest it's been for a while. For some reason over the past, I don't know, 2-3 months or so, obviously we've seen a lot of movement in the Pokemon card market, a lot of things, alternate arts. We talked about special illustration rares and some of the illustration rares a couple days ago that have really started exploding in price. It's been absolutely insane to watch, and it's not always the most fun thing if you're somebody who's trying to purchase cards for your collection or finish up master sets. One of the words that we don't talk about a whole lot is liquidity, and we've talked about buying sealed products. You hear this all the time. Sealed product rises, right? Like buy sealed, store it away, it's going to rise, it's going to go up, and that's been a common trend for Pokemon card investing for a long time now. And it's something that during the pandemic, a lot of people focused on just buying as much sealed items as they could and then storing, stashing, putting them away in a storage closet or in a closet for X amount of time. And right now, the reason I use the term liquidity is because there are a lot of products that Pokemon puts out there that are not always necessarily easy to turn around and sell. And yeah, they might go up in price a little bit, but not always is it going to be the case where they're easy to turn around and then move off of. I have had a lot of people reach out to me over the past couple months looking to sell off their collection. And this is going to happen. It happens during this time because a lot of cards have kind of reached their peak, and people who are looking at moving on for, something else, or maybe they're getting into One Piece, or maybe they just realize Pokemon wasn't necessarily for them, or they want to ease back on their collection. Usually I'll look at spreadsheets and it'll have a mix of just tons of different things, including all of these sealed collection boxes, because they have heard the mantra before of buy two or buy three, buy two, buy one to rip, buy one to keep sealed. And that's kind of been the mentality that they've gone off of for a long time. And while that does work for a select amount of items, it's not always the case with a bunch of items. There's a lot of collection boxes that Pokemon has released over the past few years, just a ton of them. It seems like we're swimming in different tins and collection boxes every single week. We've talked about this on the channel so many times before, about how Pokemon keeps putting out new releases and new products and new promo cards and things like that, and all these collection boxes, and it can be overwhelming because there's just so much of it out there. And then when people look to sell off their collection because maybe they have moved on to something else, you get a bunch of Galarian Surfetch boxes, you get a bunch of Mimikyu EX boxes, you get a bunch of Hisuian Electro boxes, and a lot of boxes that people are looking to move off of when they're like, okay, well, the market price on this is like $30. It was supposed to be a $20 box, so it's up 33%. It's gotten very strong, but that's very tough to move off of. And when you're a storefront who's looking at buying collections and things like that, especially as an online store, we have the benefit of not really having to worry about a brick and mortar. So our buy rates for a lot of single cards, especially when it comes to modern single cards, are much, much higher than a lot of brick and mortar stores can do, because we don't have that overhead, and we sell a lot of cards on our website, so we have much smaller fees than selling on TCG Player or eBay or a place like that. But when you're talking about slabs and you're talking about sealed product, especially collection boxes, and you factor in the fees, now TCG Player, eBay, you're looking at 13-14% fees off the top of the sale price. And then because of the size of collection boxes, because of the size of sealed boxes, you're looking at, $8, $9, $10 for shipping, because it's above £1. So even though USPS has introduced their new Ground Advantage program a few months ago, you're still looking at $6, $7, $8 for shipping, and that really cuts into things. If you're thinking about a collection box that retails for $20, and now the market price of it has gone up to $30, when you're factoring $7 to ship that, that's $23 right away, and then 14% fees on top of that, that's another $4 in fees. You're already below that retail pricing as a store owner, because you're only netting about $19, $18 on that. So if you pay, close to 70% on something like that, you're going to lose money. And that's the tough thing about keeping sealed items, because they do while they do rise in price, they're not always super liquid. And you talk about some of those collection boxes that I mentioned before, like the Galarian Surfetch box, the amount of sales that you have on something like that are so few and far between that you don't really have a market for it anymore. And sure, it might have a little bit of older packs in it now when you talk about some of the Sword and Shield packs being a little bit older because they might be 3, 4, 5 years old. There's just not enough level of interest, and the booster packs themselves selling individually are cheap enough that it doesn't warrant purchasing collection boxes to break down. So it's very, very difficult, and it's something that you need to be very mindful when you're purchasing stuff for your Pokemon card collection, because you don't want to overspend on things like collection boxes. If you want to rip a box here and there, go nuts, but I wouldn't necessarily follow the mantra of buying two, buying multiples of them, unless it's something that you know is going to do extremely well. And the general rule of thumb is if it's something that you really, really like, then other people are probably going to like it too. But if it's something that you're not overly excited about and you're just buying it to store it, you got to be really, really careful with that mentality. Now, there are some instances in the past where things have worked out really well, and that's what we're going to look at in today's video. I'm going to flip you guys around so you can see exactly what we're talking about. But over the past few years, obviously, we have seen some of these products come out, including the Eeveeloutions Premium Collection boxes. Now, these were very difficult to get. Their allocation numbers were actually a little bit low, and they came out at a time near the tail end of the pandemic where a lot of people were interested in Pokemon card collecting still, and there was a lot of interest in this in particular because it did have that Evolving Skies feel to it, right? It had Evolving Skies packs in it. I think it had at least one. Some of the variants had 2 Evolving Skies packs in it, but it also had the alternate arts that were included in Eevee Heroes from Japan, but not included in Evolving Skies in the United States. So you have the Flareon. We'll look at the Jolteon and the Vaporeon in a second here, but because of all the rise that we've seen over the past couple months in alternate arts, in sealed product from Sword and Shield, especially Evolving Skies, these have also already followed suit. And if you can see, it was relatively flat from May of 2023 all the way up until January of 2024, hovering right around that $75-$80 mark. But then it's jumped up about 20% over the past month. And now these are very difficult to find in stores. You might walk into Walmart and still get lucky every once in a while, but for the most part, these have kind of run their course. They had a small second print run, which did have a little bit of a different variation of packs. I think that only got 1 Evolving Skies pack, as opposed to the 2 you got in the original print run. But you get the Jumbo card, you get the alternate art Flareon V, and then you get the alternate art Flareon VMAX. And these have exploded over the past couple months, following suit with some of those other Evolving Skies alternate arts. You can see jumping up to $96.55. That's an all-time high for this, and this was an MSRP box of $39.99. It comes with that Flareon pin, but really seeing some huge growth over the past couple months, and that's really the case with all of them. Here's the Jolteon VMAX. This one trended a little bit differently. You can see started growing a little bit already in May of 2023, where it jumped up to about $85, then leveled out a little bit, then climbed up a little bit more in January of 2024, and then in March of 2024 shot up even more. So now it's sitting at $94.79. That's an all-time high for this product, continuing the trend of growing about 20-30% over the past year, which is really strong. And again, this is just a different product because you know it is going to be a lot more liquid than a lot of the other collection boxes that come out. The Armorage Premium Collection box that just recently came out, for example, that's not going to be as liquid as something like this because it doesn't contain the pack selection. It doesn't contain the popular Pokemon that some of these products have contained in the past, like the Eeveeloutions one, specifically this Jolteon one right here. So that one continuing to trend in the upward direction. Same thing with the Vaporeon. This one a little bit more similar to what we saw with the Flareon VMAX. However, it did have a bit of a gain in June of 2023 up until August of 2023. It almost hit $95 and then started sloping back down all the way up until January of 2024. You can see it lost about $10, about 10% over the course of 7 months. And now over the past few months, it has really started to gain. This is the most expensive of the three. Comes with the alternate art Vaporeon V and Vaporeon VMAX, plus the coin, plus the pin, and it's jumped up all the way to $110.46. So it's jumped up about $35 over the past year and continuing to trend in the upward direction. And part of the reason behind that is because of the promo cards that are inside. So here is the alternate art Flareon V, and we're going to look at pop numbers for these cards in just a minute after we go through these. But look at how flat this card was for the majority of a year. Then we saw a lot of buyouts happen, a lot of manipulation happen, a lot of alternate arts just kind of skyrocket. And these alternate art promos were no different. You can see this giant gain in March of 2024. So it was sitting at around $25 at that point in time, around $20, a little bit above its 1 year low of $16.09. So it basically jumped up from about $16 to $23 over the course of a year, which really isn't that bad. That's still very, very strong gains when you look at the percentage wise. But then if you see what happened over the past month, went from a $23 card all the way up to a $53.69 card. So this was definitely bought out. You can look at the quantities that are sold on TCG Player. There was a lot of talk from TCG Player about how quantities moved a lot faster, and they basically admitted that buyouts were happening and that manipulation, well, I don't think they said manipulation in specific, but buyouts definitely were happening, and there was a higher quantity of sold alternate arts on specific day, with specific alternate arts being targeted, and this Flareon V was obviously one of them. In fact, all of these alternate cards that we're going to look at were victims of buyouts. It looks like this card jumped from basically $23 up to $53.69, and now, because those premium collections are so few and far between and they have gotten so expensive, it almost makes more sense for people to still buy the singles rather than buy the sealed product because it's so much more difficult to find. Here's the Flareon VMAX right here. This one hasn't been as bad, relatively flat from June of 2023 all the way up until April of 2024. It was hovering right around a $20 card. Now, it still has gained over 50% in the past month, but it's sitting at $33.51 right now, so that's a 1 year high for this Flareon VMAX. Really cool looking card, kind of floating in the air over the Alolan Executor right there. Here's the Jolteon V. It's got that real Batman feel to it. Looks a lot like Noivern, looks a lot like that Mewtwo landscape from Scarlet and Violet 151, the promo card that was in the UPC. Again, relatively flat from June of 2023 all the way up until April of 2024, hovering right around that $20 mark. Now, it did dip to about $13.29 as a 1 year low. That was in December, but now from where it was, over doubled in price. It's sitting at $34.08 currently and continuing to trend in the upward direction. Here's the Jolteon VMAX from the same collection box in November of 2023. This was $19.41. Hasn't quite doubled in price, but continues to trend in that upward direction. You can see in April, it was actually at $30 before dropping back down to about $23. So the market did get adjusted a little bit as more quantities hit the shelves, but they got bought out right away. And then it jumped up to $34.52 and now continuing to trend in that upward direction. Here's the Vaporeon V. This one really cool as well. In November of 2023, this was sitting at a 1 year low at $17.84. Now it's over doubled in price over the past few months, with the majority of those gains happening in April of 2024. It's jumped up to $40.40, continuing to trend upward. And here's the Vaporeon VMAX. This one's sitting at $42.88. This one a little bit more of a significant growth pattern over the past year. When you look at its 1 year low in June, it was at $22.24. So it's almost doubled in price. However, very flat from August of 2023 all the way up until April of 2024. That's when you saw about a $12 gain, a $13 gain in the course of a month, sitting at $42.88 currently. Here are the pop reports for these cards, and I'll get my ugly face out of the way here for you so you can see everything a little bit better. But if you look, not the easiest cards to grade, and you'll find this a lot when you open up collection boxes because of the way that Pokemon stores them in the actual collection box. Obviously, you're going to have a lot of whitening issues, but there was also centering issues that happen with a lot of these promos. And if you look at the full art Vaporeon, that alternate art Vaporeon, there's 903 PSA 10s. That's really not that much when you consider how many cards were graded. So over 4,100 of them currently that have been graded, with 903 of them hitting that PSA 10 mark. So that's less than a quarter, less than 25% of them have been able to get that PSA 10, with about 60% of them hitting that PSA 9 mark. So not a very easy grade on that one. Same thing with the Vaporeon VMAX. This one does have a little bit more PSA 10 with 2,511, but quite a few more that were graded 5,858, and still more PSA 9s in existence than PSA 10s. The full art Jolteon, it seems like the Flareon, Jolteon, and Vaporeon all have a lower hit rate when it comes to that PSA 10 mark. That Jolteon V, only 882 PSA 10s out of 3,983 that have been graded. So again, you're almost looking at about 20% for that one. The full art Jolteon VMAX, that alternate art, 5,467 that have been graded, with 2,222 of them hitting PSA 10. The Flareon V, 1,006 of them hitting PSA 10 out of the 4,271 that have been graded. So again, less than 25% for that one as well. And then the full art Flareon VMAX alternate art, that one has 5,406 that have been graded, with 2,303 getting a PSA 10. So it does seem like you get a little bit better of a chance at hitting PSA 10 with the VMAXs as opposed to the alternate art Vs, but still a very difficult card to grade in general. Here's the Ultra Premium Collection from the Charizard. We have talked about this product so many times. There were so many times where this product was offered at a discounted rate, and part of the reason that it is blowing up so much over the past couple months is really, one, because of hype, but also two, because of the pack selection that's inside. So you have 16, 17 packs. I can't remember the exact number of how many packs are in this product. Obviously, you get the promo cards, which are doing okay, but it's really the pack selection inside with 3 Evolving Skies packs. That alone right now is like $36 to $40, somewhere around there. So that only makes up 20% of the packs that you get, or not even 20% of the packs that 15% of the packs that you get. But it's jumped up over the past month to $163.26. You can find these for roughly $80, especially if you were buying them by the case. They were getting clearanced on Amazon, they were getting clearanced at Target, and it's really exploded over the past month after being relatively flat. Jumped up to about $110 in April of 2024, so still a little bit below MSRP, and then really skyrocketed. But you get Brilliant Stars, Astral Radiance, Lost Origin, Evolving Skies, so you get a lot of Sword and Shield era packs if you're looking to chase alternate arts, plus the promo cards and things like that. So a lot of people have been focusing on a product like this to get more bang for their buck because they can't find those other products in stores, and because of that, this product has just jumped up like crazy. So sitting at $163.26 currently and continuing to trend upward. Here's the Charizard V. Not a whole lot of movement from these promo cards at all. This one's been relatively flat. In fact, it's actually down a little bit from where it was a year ago, where it hit $6.81. Still really cool looking cards, but there have been so many of these that have been cracked. Pokemon really overproduced the Ultra Premium Collection when it comes to the Charizard, and I think they needed to because of the demand and the hype that the Celebrations UPC brought about. This one, $4.44 is its 1 year low, currently sitting at $5.97, but up and down all over the place. Should continue that pattern for quite some time before gradually rising a bit more. Here's the Charizard VMAX, which at one point was the most expensive of the three. It's not right now. Currently sitting at $13.22. So it did peak at $16.89 at the end of December, beginning of January, and then started going backwards a little bit. Still well above its 1 year low of $9.48, but still $13.22. Not quite as high as what we see from the Charizard V-Star, which is actually the one that's making the most moves right now and the most noise, currently sitting at $15.21. So that's a 1 year high for this product, over double in price over the past year. You can see in November of 2023, it hit that 1 year low of $7.98. If we look at the grading report on this one, it is completely different than those Eeveeloutions. So obviously a lot more being graded when it comes to something like this. Still not ideal. You're looking at about 30 to 35%, depending on the card, hitting PSA 10. So still not a lot of PSA 10s in existence when you consider how many of them have been graded. But you're looking at almost 4 times the amount being graded as what we saw from those Eeveeloutions Premium Collection boxes. And it just goes to show you how much supply was put out there of something like this as opposed to the Premium Collection. So that's stuff that you want to consider when adding to your Pokemon card collection. 19,952 of the alternate art Charizard V, 5,424 of them hit PSA 10, so a little bit above 25%, but still a lot more 9s, over double the amount of 9s in existence than there is PSA 10s. If you look at the alternate art Charizard VMAX, 21,076 of these have been graded, with 7,108 hitting PSA 10, so a little bit better of a percentage right there. You're looking closer to 30%, 35% on that one. Still a lot less than PSA 9s when there's 11,649 in existence. And then the Charizard V-Star, the most expensive one, also has the most graded copies available, 22,742, with 6,171 of them hitting PSA 10. Still less than half of PSA 10s as opposed to PSA 9s. There's almost 13,000 PSA 9s in existence and 6,171 PSA 10s in existence. So that's it. That's all I got for you guys. Really crazy to look at, but definitely something to keep in mind as you move forward with your Pokemon card collection goals. And I understand sealed product is a lot of fun, but space does become a factor. Space does become an issue. And Pokemon, with the amount of products that they release, and I'm sure a lot of people already are aware of this, but like I said, it's something that I wanted to touch on because there are some products that do extremely well, but definitely not a situation where you want to make sure that you buy what you enjoy. And that's really the best route that you can go all the time. If it goes up in price, great. If it doesn't go up in price, that's fine, because you bought it because you enjoyed it. And that's really the most important thing to consider when kind of collecting Pokemon cards. So I hope you guys are all doing well. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch the video. We'll be back tomorrow with another video. Until next time, guys, love you. I'll talk to you soon. Peace.